Hi, my name is Sarah Stella. I'm at the Early Childhood Center. This is my presentation for Universal Design for Learning. I teach in the whole school. I teach music on a cart. And throughout the school, I didn't find much in the building structure itself that was universally designed. I found one thing, and I'm going to show right here, and that is the water fountains. We have two of them. One is probably the correct height for preschool students, kindergarten students, and maybe even some of our shorter first grade students. The other one is better for first grade students, adults, and it also is high enough that you can fit wheelchairs underneath it. We don't have any students currently, but it could be used for any type of student with physical disability. One of the first things I teach when I teach my students is how to sing. And many of my parents actually ask, can you show me the songs they're singing? When I first started giving students music to take home, sometimes it was not successful because the music was written in a way that students could not follow it. Here is Frere Jacques, Are You Sleeping?, which is one of the first songs I teach in first grade. And as you see, it's very difficult to keep track of where you're singing on which part. I now send home packets where verses are highlighted in different colors. And then if it's around, I highlight the part that particular student is learning in class. With that, I started with students who just had trouble reading or had learning disabilities, and now all my students want the music that's highlighted. They like the colors sometimes, even if they don't need it. Moving on, I do teach with a textbook series. It's Sylver Burdett, Making Music. This series is actually well over 100 years old. It started as just a textbook that teachers would use, and it's gradually increased what it is. This is a first grade series, and what we're looking is this is the Ants Go Marching, and there's the big book, which I teach most of my students from, and the smaller book, which some of my students who like to have their own to look at or think that they're more advanced can look on their own, also enjoy using. Also, I'll sometimes have a teacher's aide sit with one or two students who need extra guidance and help focusing. It also has transparency with the series, MIDI files, and also learning maps that can be used on the computers. Once students leave the kindergarten and also first grade, getting into more end of first grade, second grade, and third grade, they often will play what's called a glockenspiel, showed here. To play a glockenspiel, students use mallets. These mallets in particular don't have grips on them. And the reason they don't have grips is they come with a number of different kinds of grips that students can use depending on their physical abilities and preference. The first one here is just a grip with a mallet with a very large grip for students who that helps hold it. The next mallet is one where a student maybe can't close their hand or has more difficulty, and it just straps around their hand, so they only have to twist their hand, and the mallet does the rest of the work. Here are more varieties of different grips for different kinds of mallets. These are used for different kinds of keyboard instruments. Once the students leave the primary grades and reach fourth grade, usually in some districts fifth grade, many of them will want to play in the band. One of the most popular band instruments is the flute. This is a full-length flute. And this is a flute that I would play, and also that the majority of students in fourth and fifth grade start on. However, it does require students to have a lot of strength and also long enough arms to be able to reach fully out here. Other flutes are made differently. This is a flute that was first made for students with disabilities. However, I've seen many fourth grade students who are just smaller without disabilities start on a flute that looks like this. The sound is the same, however, it's called a curved head joint because the part where you blow into has, it's curved, and therefore the flute isn't as long. It's much easier to hold and reach. The next flute is more really designed for students with disabilities, although it could be used for anyone. And this is what they call a vertical head joint, and the whole flute is actually vertical, which is much more comfortable to hold, and also for any students who have strength issues with their left hand, it requires almost no strength of the left hand and the left arm. in conclusion, my school is not particularly universally designed. However, we have many universally designed things here used in instruction.